Matthew. Okay, any way you want to do it? Okay, didn't I see? Take a look at these stairs here. Didn't I see this in a Bruce Lee movie? Okay.
We're going up. Hi there.
So, are you down, Day?
Maybe not. How you doing, Glenn?
Good.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you. Hang on. Hey, good to meet you, man.
You found us.
Hey, Glenn.
Yes.
Waiting for the plane and all these low clouds.
It's not going to come in. It's not. I just got done talking to them. They're not even coming in right now. Ceiling's too low.
That's what I thought.
And then you said tomorrow and the next day are worse. So
I was wondering what their visibility requirements were.
Yeah.
You know, because this was up in Casper this morning.
And a microphone. Okay, so I'm going to go in and turn on, what is the light switch over here?
There it is.
Okay, this is where the big weather forecast comes from.
That's where the magic
Humble as it is. Now, if you want to see something real fun, turn around.
That's some high-tech foam.
And look at that 3-pot Harris board he's got over there.
Isn't that classic?
How old is that thing?
You know, that one, I want to say that's 40+ years old. At least still works.
I remember using those when I started. So
in fact,
in 83.
if I had my way, I'm an analog guy.
Yeah.
You know,
what's the bow and arrow for there, Don?
Oh God.
Okay.
Well, I'm a bow hunter.
Oh, okay,
I'm a bow hunter. This is not my bow.
All right.
This is a bow someone brought into me that they found.
You're just up several floors.
In a dumpster.
You got windows. You got a bow. I'm just kind of wondering.
Well, you know, we figured you shoot an arrow up in the air to attract lightning.
Yeah, something like that. You know.
Yeah. So there's sales and marketing.
Okay, sales and marketing.
Hello,
sir.
Nice to meet you, Glenn.
Hi.
Been listening to you a lot.
I'm sorry, don't hit me. He's really gripping the hand there. That hurts. That really does.
There you go.
Hurt him.
This is Tara. This tower is really historic. It was built in the Cold War.
Okay. Is there a bomb shelter below?
Actually, it is. I'll show you downstairs.
Oh, we get to see the bomb shelter.
This is where we're hooked up with your next gen.
Okay.
So we have 2 broadcast areas here. So we can do double duty if we need to.
How many? I see a lot of day weather things around. How many stations are you covering?
We're on about 70 altogether. Okay. We're in 42 markets.
Where then states include?
Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, Montana. But we're heavy Colorado, Wyoming. So yeah, this is a Cold War tower. There's only one more that I know of that's like this. It's in Great Falls, Montana. And it's designed to operate 24/7. It's got its own ventilation system. It used to have its own battery backup system in the basement, so where it could power for. Oh yeah, sure. Now the visibility's going up.
Oh yeah, sure. Oh, I didn't realize you get a nice view of the Capitol from here.
You do. So actually, in Cheyenne, the hospital is actually the tallest building. The new tower that's across from the airport there is about 20 feet higher than this. So this is about the 3rd tallest building.
So is this like your conference room now?
Yeah. So this actually a year and a half ago was just still all torn up when they took all the equipment out. And then we had it remodeled to be a conference room. One of the best stories I have though is when Dick Cheney came to visit. We had some police officers show up at my office right there when you guys show up. I'm like, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
What'd I do? They're here to get me. They go, well, we want to let you know, you got to keep it really quiet, but Dick Cheney, Vice President Cheney's coming here tomorrow, and we're going to need to put some people up here.
Was he vice president at the time?
He was vice president at the time. And I said, he goes, don't tell anybody. I said, all right. He goes, so we're going to probably have some snipers come up, and they're going to be up here. So that's cool. Next day, the paper, front page of the paper, Dick Cheney comes to Cheyenne. They've got the biggest gun, biggest scope you'd ever see, and they're both carrying Happy Meals. And they go, we're going upstairs, for the whole thing.
Where did you get your start?
I got my start, actually, I graduated from University of Wyoming in 1991. And I had a job all lined up with the National Weather Service. I was going to work for the Weather Service, not here in Cheyenne, but up in Sheridan. At that time, they had it was my dream job. It was an 8 to 5 office. And didn't have to worry about staying up all night and that type of thing. And I got caught in a hiring freeze, government hiring freeze, Grand Rudman Act. And so they said, well, it could be 6 to 18 months, And I said, well, what do I do? And they said, I don't know, just hang around, deliver pizzas, or do something like that.
Yeah.
So when I was in college at University of Wyoming, I worked part-time for 4 years at the public radio station doing sports, news, board shifts. And I loved radio. And so I came up with this idea of, well, to buy time, I'll call radio stations for barter and to see if they'll do a barter arrangement. And I'll go and find advertisers, and I would just see if that was enough to live on until the Weather Service came back. So they came back about 2 years later, and I was, barely making it.
Right.
But I could see there was I could
a
see
market
something was going on, a market for it, and I was in my 20s, and I didn't have any family. I said, if there's any time to take a risk in my life, it's now. And I was used to living on $500 a month. So I was like, I'm going to try this. And so I passed it up. And I've been doing this ever since. 70% of my day is, I'm up with you are. I'm here at 3:30 every morning. And
now that got to be the interesting question is, how do you get some of these gigs? Because, all right, we got the guy who jumps out of the Red Bull thing at the edge of the atmosphere, the guy who jumped into a net without a parachute. How do they find you and pick you?
Okay, I am a hot air balloon pilot.
Okay.
So my wife and I are hot air balloon pilots, and when we got into that community, as soon as you're in anything in aviation, whether you're like a pilot, hot air balloon, or whatever, when they hear you're a meteorologist, they want to be your friend real quick. And so I started to get to know people, especially in New Mexico. And it's a long story, but I got to know a gentleman who was a retired Air Force meteorologist who worked for the Air Force Research Labs for their high altitude program. And he got very ill, and he couldn't support some projects, and he knew I had a background in ballooning, and he calls me up one day and he goes, I need your help. I've just been diagnosed with cancer and I need a surgery, and can you come help on these projects? And it was baptism by fire. So next thing you know, I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico, or at White Sands Missile Range, and I'm used to launching balloons. All balloons are big, but I went from our balloon is about 3 stories tall to launching balloons that were 300 or 400 feet tall. They were going to the stratosphere. And what ended up happening is, unfortunately, about a year later, he passed away. Right. So there aren't many people with the expertise for that. And so I just basically got put into it. And so things like Red Bull, I can count on one hand how many people are qualified to handle big balloons and weather, and there's one other guy I know, and the other 3 all work for the government, and the government wouldn't let anybody work on anything like that. Right. So I end up on that, and then there are these other high altitude projects, and then people just say, well, the good news is I have almost no competition for those projects. That's also the bad news. Is you end up on, I've ended up really difficult. That Red Bull project took 5 years off my life. Wow.
Okay. Do they pay well for it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well there you go. All right.
It's high risk, but really high. I mean, it's high risk, high stress. Those are not easy things to be on. The guy jumping in the net. Yeah. He was on the Red Bull project. He was Felix Baumgartner's trainer. So he gets this thing. So he calls me up. So it's one of those things to where it's a small community, and I love it. I mean, high altitude projects are really cool.